Welcome. Today, we just want you to relax and embrace and soak up all this beautiful light. We have a special guest with us from London today, Nattacia Satie, who is a multi-dimensional voice channeler. And this is CSI, to uplift and inspire you. My beautiful co-pilot, Colleen. And we are here. Nattacia, welcome. We're so honored that you have this opportunity to be with us and be with our audience today.
Thank you.
We'd love to, with our beautiful guests, since this is about inspiration, we love to understand and open up perspectives for the audience that inspiration is everywhere. It isn't just so out they're etherical. It's also in very practical things that happen, small things day to day. So I love to ask my gorgeous guests, what is inspiration to you?
Hmm. Well, thank you, Carryna. You see, inspirare, spirit infused. To me, it's very clear that without spirit, without being inspired, nothing much can work and function and happen within us, in our actions, on the planet. So inspiration comes when we open our hearts, open our minds to receive from spirit, to receive through our breath, prana. Prana is breath, right? Breath is also our life force. What happens if we stop breathing? The life is gone, right? So it sustains us. So inspirare, spirit breathes life through us. When we're inspired, we are becoming alive. The more we breathe, the more we're becoming alive, the more we sparkle and shine and radiate. And then wherever we go, people who are touching our energy field, they feel these sparkles. They don't quite know what it hits them, but
Exactly.
they just feel them and they say, "Oh, it's so nice to have you in the room." It's whenever you walk into the room, the sun is shining. What do you do? It's just the whole lifestyle. Yeah, people say, "Oh, you have such healthy skin. What do you do?" So that's inspiration. I just share little tips here and there. So everything comes from being open to life, being open to receive as much breath, that life force as possible, and then utilize it combined with nature, and then just let it shine out of every pore, every fiber of your being to just yeah, to just emit that light. We are pure love and pure light. And every day grind and life that's happening to us can oftentimes dampen that light, but it's always there as an deep within us. It's the infinity spark. It never goes away. It's always there as long as there is breath and as long as we're breathing. And the more we're breathing, the more we sparkle and shine, and the more we inspire when we walk through life.
Well, that is all of it in a nutshell. It is so true. It is that conscious breath that when we start tapping in and being aware and hold our breath sacred, because it is our life force while we're on this planet embodied in this human condition, in order to still stay amazingly connected to our whole self and the cosmos. And so our breath, even though it's automatic for us as we are walking and doing things in this life, it's something to stop and pause and actually reverence and respect and hold very sacred, because this is one of the gifts that the Creator gave us in order to flourish while we are here and to illuminate. And yes, it's something that doesn't really have to be described when we step into a room with people. They do, they feel that sparkle and they just are more uplifted and shifted on their energy, and it is meant to be effortless. When I say conscious breath, I'm not talking about working at it because then it runs away from you. It is being with it and with spirit. And how does one do that? A lot of people say that. First off, it's just sitting and being quiet, isn't it? Because as you said, the rush of every day can start to suppress it, but that infinite light is always there, ready and waiting for us. It doesn't go away. We're the ones who go away and need to come back. And so I just love that. It was so beautiful and eloquently said, Nattacia. I really appreciate that very much. Just take that in for a moment, people. And some of you out there, I know, can actually feel the energy running through your body from even hearing this. Plus, we also do a transmission while we're here for you right through the screen. And it doesn't matter if you're live or you hear the replay, you're always going to receive it. These are some of the gifts that we hold and we share with you. Uh, Nattacia, my love, you know I'm going to ask this. I would love to hear and have you share an inspirational story for the audience. Would you like to do that?
Of course. Yeah. You see, as long as I can remember, sound was coming out of me through songs and reciting poetry and telling stories and just making a lot of noise and jumping around and dancing. And from earliest age on, I had this vision. I kept seeing myself as a performer. And for the longest time, I thought it was going to be an actress and a singer performing. And in my earliest few years, which I spent with my maternal grandparents, there was space for this. And all I did from morning till night, I was entertaining everybody.
I can see that.
I was just singing and telling stories, and I would not shut up. And just such fond memories. And there was one moment where my my grandpapa, turned blind when I was born. I was very sad. And I watched with him black and white reruns from um, of American musicals, and they played True Love. Bing Crosby was singing this song, and my grandpapa did not know English. And every time the song would come on, he started crying. And I was really tiny, 4 years old, and I observed that. I thought, wow, he cries because of the song, the beautiful song. And then, of course, when there was comedy and um, what was it? Laurel and Hardy, we called it Dick und Doof. It was of course dubbed into German. My childhood was spent in Austria, so we spoke German. And he was just laughing, and even though he couldn't see. So I could feel as a young child the power of sound, of song, of sound vibration, of joy, of sadness. And then my parents, when I moved to them at age 6, they did not understand that because they didn't know me much. And then when I requested to go to performing arts high school, they said no because they didn't have the vision. They were, you know, afraid. And then when I went to university, I wanted to go to the performing arts department, and they said no again. So I was devastated. I agreed to study languages. And what happened in my final exams, I kept failing the last exam. And I had completely forgotten all my great, great visions. And all of a sudden, I awakened to them. And I knew, huh, this is my parents' dream. It's not mine. And I ran off. I ran off to Paris. And immediately, I met jazz musicians that they were students of jazz from America and Canada and Scandinavia, and they met in Paris to make street music over the summer. So I quickly, oh, this is what I want. Can I join you? And they took me on. And so for the next 2 years, I was just singing in the streets of Europe, in the south of France, and in Paris and Switzerland. And I saved every penny, big coin bag. I had my own Swiss bank account, and every night I would go with my coins and put them in. And there was a lot of joy living in the streets for 2 years. There was a lot of pain also. I was in love, and that didn't go well. And I was just pulled, pulled, pulled. And when I had enough money, I moved to New York City, and I never looked back. And in 1988, 2 years before I left Austria, I was divinely activated as a sound and energy healer. My hands and my voice were activated divinely. And very magical and mystical and mysterious things started happen to me on a daily basis. So when I came to New York, I was divinely connected to what became my mentor of 12 years. He was a trance channeler, and he channeled all the ascended masters, Michael, Raphael, Saint-Germain, Lord Metatron. And I had the privilege for 12 years to have these every week. In his living room. He was holding these circles, and these universal messages and teachings came through. And during that time, I developed all my own psychic abilities. And at the same time, it was clear to me when I arrived at JFK and the wheels set to the ground, I felt home. Never before have I felt that sensation of belonging. So I knew America was my home. So I did not intend to return to Europe, and I sought out several immigration attorneys, and they all turned me away in a not nice way. In essence, they said, we don't need another poor, starving, struggling artist, actor, singer. Pretty much go back where you belong, where you came from. And I was crying. And one day I saw in the street a Learning Annex free magazine box, and there it was, green card seminar, and this beautiful woman on a photo. And I'm like, give me that. And I went and I grabbed it and I went to the seminar. And the moment I saw this woman, Spirit told me, she is the one, she's going to help you. And so my dear Maggie, over 15 years, guided me. The first few years, she just set me up with an accountant who was willing to help me pay my taxes, even though I was not legal, because there was no way for me in the beginning to be legal. So she said, stay, lay low. We lawyers are lobbying towards changing the law so good people like yourself who would like to become citizens here in America can change their status. I will call you. In the meantime, she says, why are you singing jazz? Learn how to write music and write your own songs and then have them recorded. And she says, you have such beautiful life philosophy. Write a self-improvement book for artists. And she just went on and on and on. And I'm like, okay. And she sent me off. And it took a few years until that phone call came, and it came. And Carryna, I was prepared and ready. I had channeled, I was holding my first 2 year healing sound and energy healing circle in Manhattan in my little East Village studio apartment. And
As little as they are, yes.
tiny, tiny, but we could fit sitting up about 12 people in a circle. And for 2 years, I think it was a Tuesday, people would come. I would put up my flyers in the East Village and all the coffee shops and laundromats and health food stores, and they would just come and ring and come. And we would space and time travel, and we would make sounds together. It was magic. And every time in the beginning, I would receive a beautiful message, a guidance from Spirit. And I recorded them. Remember the little Walkman cassette recorder?
Oh, yeah.
The little cassettes, I recorded them, and then I had an old-fashioned typewriter. I would transcribe the messages, and I did that for 2 years, and that became my first channel book, The Visionary and Futurist Artist. And the subtitle is Freeing Your Creativity and Living It No Matter What. It's a mouthful, and it's exactly what I lived through and what I started giving voice lessons and healing sessions one-on-one, and people just kept coming, and it was really growing and growing. So with all this work, I created the book, and then I learned how to write music. I was going to all these jazz workshops. I was singing in jazz jam sessions with all the great veterans of jazz. They were mentoring me, and I up from Harlem down to the East Village and all the jazz clubs. And so I really did what she told me to do. So when that phone call came, I was ready. I had my book. I self-published it, and I had the music all written down. I learned how to write music. I had songs, and at that time I had already started to study acting too, and I had written already a screenplay. So I had really nice projects. And so I was granted the green card. Oh my God, when it came in the mail, I think it was just, yes, 9/11 happened during my
Oh,
application. It was so intense. I remember I was living very close to ground zero, and for a few weeks we could not breathe. There was just asbestos in the air. So we indoors, there was not much air. Then when I opened the window, there was not much air, you know. And I would
Yeah.
hold healing circles. I would invite people. We would just see each other in the street crying. I said, come, what are you doing Tuesday evening? I didn't charge any money. On the contrary, I prepared a big pot of vegetable and bean soup and I gave
Yeah,
everybody
like we
soup.
do when we do Sufi gatherings like that
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I understand that type of air that you're speaking of because I've been in the North Ridge earthquakes in
Ah,
LA. And so
yes,
yes, this happens and the ground lets loose of the toxicity that
yes,
also is in it. And so between the ashes and that toxic air, and it looks like a battle zone.
yes,
The color, the color is almost like nicotine
yes,
color. And
yes.
yeah, for months and months. And then we also kept having, you call them tremors, but when they're in the 5 points and
Oh,
4 points, they were still called tremors because it was still up in the sixes that we got hit
mm,
with. And your nervous system is shot at the
yes.
same time. Even my poor little baby Christopher, he he
Oh,
started pulling his fur out from his tail
oh,
because it was the impact of the nervous systems
yes.
were
Oh,
just really difficult to recover from. So even though I was grateful I was not in New York then, we were actually up at Sufi camp during that time. And
mm,
so, of course, we ended up coming together with the Sufi master and did all this energy work and spread it out to everybody that was experiencing
mm,
this. So we had the privilege to be one of the pillars during that period of time.
mm. Wow.
So yes, I believe me, the moment you mentioned it, I felt back in time exactly what that
Yes.
felt like during that time. And of course, a lot of us being visionaries and no space and time really affects us at different points. We were physically there and could see and feel and hear what was happening at the same time because we don't have television up at camp. So we are our
Mm,
own televisions. And so we could feel and see what was happening. And we brought nature in with our drumming circles as well.
mm,
And the storms that we created and swirled around us to help send out and clear it, yeah, it was definitely a very intense time. But with that, okay, so we know you're here. Now, a lot of people listening may not really understand what voice channeling is. Okay, but before we do that, the travel that you just put us through, what would you pare it down to for somebody to understand, to be connected, and to follow the guidance they're receiving in a short version?
yes. It's very simple. You're born with a desire to express. Your soul knows. And when you listen as a child, you're already knowing this. And for me, I just kept following that calling. So, all of you out there, you know that inner calling, that innermost calling. I went and I self-sponsored my American citizenship. I am living the American dream. I went from arriving with a little, not even a suitcase. It was just a traveling bag. I arrived in 1990 in Manhattan. I never left. And I self-sponsored my American citizenship with all my creativity. It just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. So never give in. No matter what life throws in your way, just keep seeing that vision and keep reaching for it and keep going, keep going, keep going. It might take decades. I am
Good.
now I am now 61, and only now Spirit is telling me now my true soul's purpose is happening, is starting. For 61 years, they have been preparing me. So in a nutshell, what I can give you as a gift today, I am the living proof. As long as you keep connected with your yearning, your calling, you know what you are here to express and to share with the world. And no matter if the family says no, I had to cut out my family, paint me for 10 years because they didn't respect my calling and they kept interfering. And so now I have beautifully reconciled. 10 years ago, Spirit whisked me back to Europe to bring all that healing and that forgiveness and that love. I had a very challenging childhood. There was a lot of warring between my parents, very violent, they were very young. They were children having children, and they did their best, but it wasn't good enough to provide a safe childhood for my brother and myself. So I came and I brought reconciliation, and all this time it was not wasted because here I am. So never give up, never give in. It's just life, and just we're being given these life lessons, and they have made me who I am. I was very, very in pain for many years. I could not be without sunglasses and wear black all the time. I was so in pain until finally the light broke through because I did so much inner healing work on myself. I did everything. I did shamanic work and even the 12-step program, codependent coda meetings, and even at some point speech therapy. The healers kept coming because I always kept asking for guidance. As long as you in your prayers ask for guidance, your masters, your teachers, they will always come. And even up to today, I have a mentor here, a mentor here. And I always say, in life, we are on a ladder. There's always a few people ahead of us. We're reaching towards them. They're guiding us. They're our mentors. And there are always a few people behind us, and we can guide them and mentor them. So that's the beauty of life. So just keep on marching on and keep on reaching for that joy in life.
Oh, Natasha, that is so perfect and beautiful. And it is so true. And people do get stopped because of obligation or they feel their responsibility. But the truth of it is, when they just take their moments to breathe and connect, they can start to see the difference. And then they can start making very good choices for their own life. And their intuition starts building. And so then they'll stop second guessing themselves.
Yes.
That's when you get caught in the obligation, responsibility, what's right, what's wrong, what am I supposed to do? What am I being trained for? And yeah, it's follow your heart. It's follow your heart and understand who's whispering into your heart. It will always be the divine, whether you understand that or not. And quite frankly, you don't have to really understand it.
Mhm.
Just be open and accepting. That's the huge difference. And that is so beautiful. And thank you for sharing that, because I really believe that there are people out there right now that really needed to hear that. I have one particular person in mind who really did need to hear that today as well. And I hope she did tune in for
Mm.
this. And it isn't about quantity of how many people we reach. If we can just reach one soul with
Yes.
our radiance and divine luminescence, then we have done so much, because what they end up doing, and it is this beautiful flow, not just a ripple effect, because sometimes that's kind of gets distorted and wonky, as we know. It just ends up being this gorgeous flow. So before we close out, and I do want the audience to know that in the description and the comments after, we will be putting Nattacia's contact information, and she has a very special gift for you. And she also has a light circle that comes together weekly. And that information will also be provided. And I will be giving the third part of a workshop next Thursday evening for energetic breakthrough, the alchemy of clarity in action. So those things that hold you back, this will be a great time to come, receive the transmission, dissolve the energy you're carrying that's not yours, and be open to receiving a very sacred message that you need right here, right now, this very moment, to support you and help you keep going forward to your own personal, beautiful life and calling. This has been wonderful.
Yes.
I am so blessed to have you here today,
Oh,
and Colleen being our anchor. A lot of people don't understand the importance of also having an anchor, a
mm.
stability individual when you're going through life, and especially when you're working with energy. um, Colleen, thank you for being with us.
Yes.
Of
Thank you.
course. Thank you for having me.
And thank all of you who were able to be with us this morning. Soulful Thursdays, it will always be on Thursday, whether it's CSI, Create a Source of Inspiration, or when we go deeper into holistic health on topic. And in the next month or two, Nattacia will be returning to us, and you'll get to understand and know more and experience a little about voice channeling. And it is multidimensional, so it's not really what people think. And we please look forward to this up and coming, and that will be longer, a 60-minute or so, so you can really feel and infuse the transmission that happens with all that. And we just love you being here, and please tell your friends. And we are here for you. We really are. And we just wish you the most blessed rest of the day, evening, and the rest of the week until we see you next time. We just send our love and blessings to you. Everyone, God bless.
Mhm.